The squeeze over the next year is going to be mostly felt by people who are renting, and the 1.5 to 2 million households trying to renew their mortgages. They're going to face uh, higher costs, a tighter squeeze. They're going to have a difficult time. And at the same time, people on a very low income who are relying on the minimum wage are going to see that rise. That's going to be positive. Pensioners will get a good return on their savings. But for the most part, I think the cost of living is going to the cost of living crisis is going to continue, not only until the next election, but well after it. And I think most households will not see a significant recovery, and people will be struggling. And at the same time, the growth which the Conservatives are touting is not going to manifest in any sizable or serious way. We're going to, I think we're going to keep on the top of inflation, but I don't think we're going to end up with anything positive. Will we become less pessimistic about the future? No, no. I think we're going to feel the pinch of being out of the group. I think again we're going to feel the pinch of Brexit, and the naysayers will be running around the place saying, you're just a Ramona." I'm not a Ramona, really. I didn't vote for Brexit, but I did expect that once it was voted for and the decision was taken to go for it, that we would actually go for it. But instead, we pussyfooted around with Lord Foot and Lord Frost. God, I wish it had been Michael Foot. At least we would have known what we were doing. It would have been even more dithering in the donkey jacket, but at least it would have been entertaining dithering, and we could have mocked. Mock, not the. Sorry, for one second, I thought Matt Hancock had emerged from the stationery cupboard, but after so much publicity in the early part of December, where everybody turned up to the COVID inquiry and pointed the finger of blame at Matt Hancock. No, blame not Matt. Blame not Matt. Ooh, Matt. It's like being a doormat. No, be kind to Matt Hancock. Be kind. But nobody will be. Yeah, I'm sorry, I lapsed into a bit of Matt Hancock there. Matt Hancock, for those of you who aren't familiar with my with my nonsense, I imagine Matt Hancock as being a sort of cross between Frankie Howard and Kenneth Williams, with a little bit of Frank Spencer thrown in. I think would Matt Hancock use an American or an English pronunciation? I think. Let me not be harassed. I think, or is it harassment? Harassment? No, harassment. Harassment. I think. Harassment. Let's enter the stationery cupboard and make it move for the new year. Let's punch some paper together. Let's find a pencil with a rubber. And engage with the protractors. I think Matt Hancock. The other thing Matt Hancock has actually been doing is dealing with asbestos. Can you remember those little squares of asbestos that you used to get in chemistry labs? Ooh, I want to distribute asbestos. Let's do some deep inhaling. Asbestos at the ready. Inhale. I used to be the Minister of Health. Well, anyway. No, living standards, I think, are going to continue, not necessarily to go down, but to stagnate. And I think they will continue to stagnate until the next election. And I don't think we will see that much healthy optimism until well into the next Parliament. And even then, I think people might be putting too much trust in an alternative to Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives. And I don't think there's very much room. I think there's very little money in the pot. It's all tied up in silly schemes like Rwanda and HS2. And instead we need to be looking at... we have to do a lot if we're going to reform education. We have to do a lot if we're going to reform the NHS. And both of those organisations are crying out for repair and reform, and to ensure that the people who are working in them at the cutting edge, the teachers and the doctors and nurses and the cleaners, are properly paid and are properly respected. Instead, we're respecting Ofsted and the bureaucrats who have never been trained in medicine, who run our hospitals and get it wrong. They need to go. They need to go. And the newspapers were filled this morning with headlines saying that Ofsted has decided in its great wisdom that it's not going to have any more inspections until all its inspectors have been trained. But I fear that the training will be such that it will be... I remember going to going and listening to a lecture in a teacher training course, and I was appalled when the lecturer told the trainees, the student teachers, that if they had bad information for the children, that they should sandwich the bad information between two moments of praise. This they described as the sandwich and the ideal way to present bad marks. And I thought, you present bad marks. And if you want to encourage, you wait until the student does something positive and you encourage the positive. In the end, the negative goes away. Because if you've encouraged enough of the positive, the student themselves, they know it's not good enough. I think I think you start off as you mean to go on, and a good teacher hands back the homework marked very clearly, and if necessary covered in red ink, and then says very good, and picks out the things which are good, or they just pick out the things which are good. There's various ways of doing it, but sandwiching, which I fear is what's going to happen with Ofsted, is not a good approach. You can see that sandwich coming, the sandwich of doom. Oh, God. Do you want the good news first or the bad news? Oh, the bad news, the very bad news, sandwiched between two little patronising comments. No, that's not the way to run an institution. It's not a way to respect teachers. We should give teachers and schools self-respect in the same way as, ideally, we give hospitals self-respect. Get rid of all the nonsensical bureaucrats and if necessary, bring people in from abroad to do that work. Because the people who are doing the bureaucracy at the moment get it wrong routinely, and they could easily be replaced by people that we pay slightly less to and that we value slightly more, and who we bring in for their skill set rather than promoting people beyond their skill set, which we don't want.